Good evening, class. Today we're going to be finishing up our unit on drugs. Today we're going to be looking at hallucinogens, marijuana, and inhalants. So for today, our SOL is 6.1H and 6.1I, and our health goal is number 54. I will not be involved in illegal drug use. And to start off with, I'll do our biblical integration. This one comes from 1 Peter 5:8. Be alert and sober of mind. Your enemy, the devil, prowls around like a roaring lion, looking for someone to devour. And I'll tie this in at the end. So, what is a hallucinogen? A hallucinogen are drugs that interfere with your sense and cause hallucinations. So a hallucination is any kind of feeling or sense that you have that really isn't there. And effects can last anywhere from several hours to to days even, depending on the type that you take and your body's reaction. So types of hallucinogens. We have LSD, PCP, ketamine, and mescaline. So LSD causes the pupils to dilate. You have flushed skin, and it increases your heart rate and increases body temperature. PCP has users usually feel a sense of restlessness. They feel disoriented, anxious, isolated, angry, aggressive, and invincible. Now, my sister actually had an encounter. She is a police officer, and she had an encounter with a female who actually tried to hide some PCP. And when she tried to get rid of the evidence, where she decided to discard it, actually the PCP got into her bloodstream, and she about overdosed on it. And after this was in a hospital, so she got treatment right away. My sister said she was pretty much high as a kite, to put it lightly. Ketamine is a veterinarian medicine. It has similar effects to PCP, but it lasts for a shorter time. And mescaline is a drug that comes from a peyote cactus. Some of the health consequences: bodily harm. It usually causes vomiting, nausea, loss of muscle control, chills, sweating, and stomach cramps. It can also increase or decrease your heart rate and body temperature, as well as your blood sugar and blood pressure. Harming of your mind. Hallucinogens in general, as it kind of sounds with the definition of hallucination, it's caused harming to your mind. So it will impair your short-term memory and perception of time. With hallucinations, people will believe something is real when it really isn't. For example, you could have a hallucination that someone's standing right next to you trying to kill you, but there's no one there. And a lot of them will lose control of their emotions as well. All drugs, if taken in great amounts, can lead to addiction and also drug dependence. And hallucinogens, vast majority of them are illegal in the first place. So it also, pretty much with all drugs, you can have the increased risk of having accidents, driving, walking down the street, being involved in violence or even crime. Marijuana. Marijuana is an interesting one, as it comes from a plant that is called a cannabis plant. If you drive down the road, odds are you might drive right past it. It is very common in the United States. I know where I'm from in Nebraska, I quite literally, I walk past this stuff all the time, just walking around trying to cut down cedar trees. It's super common. But in many places, it is illegal to harvest, but some places are not. And we'll talk about that on the next slide. Typically, it is dried cannabis plant leaves that are rolled up into a cigarette known as a joint. People who use marijuana feel relaxed, drowsy, and have an increased appetite. Now getting into the legality of it. Just this past year, the Virginia Chamber, both chambers of the Virginia General Assembly signed it and passed a law that allows the decriminalization of marijuana, and Governor Northam signed it into law on April 7th of this year. This makes it the legal age to be able to use marijuana at 21, and you cannot possess more than 1 ounce of it, and citizens are allowed to grow 4 cannabis plants. And this map right here shows, in the green, it shows states where it is legal. The yellow is medical use and decriminalized. The light blue is medical use only. Can't really tell what color that is. It's actually a purple where it says decriminalized, and red is fully illegal. Health consequences. Obviously, there's bodily harm involved. People usually feel relaxed, have increased appetite, and depending on how you use it, you can also develop nausea and could vomit, as well as if you smoke it, as we talked about with tobacco and smoking, it will damage your lungs. Harming of the mind, short-term memory loss, and impair concentration, and you will lose your train of thought. And I think that's may have had a mistake on here. You can have dependence issues and a risk of violence and crime. Okay, inhalants. Inhalants are chemicals that affect the mood and behavior when inhaled. Most inhalants are not controlled substances, and you find it at any hardware store, grocery store. You can usually find stuff that can be used as inhalant. Following ways you can use inhalants is by huffing or sniffing, which is inhaling the fumes to get high. Bagging is putting it into a bag and then inhaling it that way. You can also use it could also be used with a balloon or using aerosol cans, such as Axe body spray. And up on the screen is many different types of inhalants. This is not all of them, but this is some of the more common ones, such as gasoline, glue, hairspray, and transmission fluid. Health consequences. Inhalants can cause immediate death because it slows down the nervous system and interferes with your breathing, which can cause suffocation. And bodily harm, as we know, as kind of showed by it can kill you. It will have bodily harm, harming of the mind, impaired decision making and judgment. Pretty much with any kind of drug, it's going to interfere with your mind. Dependence and drug, as before, it's without saying, use too much of a certain drug, you will start to develop dependence. Now let's do a quick review. You will have an exam next week. So what are the 5 ways that drugs can be administered into the body? Oral. Inhaling. Injection. There's two more.
There's like a sticker.
Absorption. That's by taking it orally. The last one would be implantation. What is a drug? Throw it out there. What is a drug?
It is something that makes the body feel a certain way.
Pretty much, it is a non-nutritional chemical substance that affects the way your body or mind functions. What is drug dependence? Drug dependence is the continued use of a drug even though it harms the body and mind relationships. And what is a stimulant? We talked about this last week. That's one way, that is a name for it, but a stimulant is a group of drugs that speeds up the activity of the central nervous system. Okay, so please take out a device that connects to the internet. So please use appropriate names or else you will be booted.
Oh, let's go. Coach.
Has everyone had a chance to get in? Oh, this one got ya. So DCP is not a hallucinogen unless you're imagining better grades. Yep, so the legal use age for marijuana in the state of Virginia is 21 as of April 7th of this year.
One chick leaves, another comes back up.
Now, which plant does it come from? The cannabis plant. That is correct. Everyone got that. Great job.
One right answer. Oh. You doubted yourself.
Yep, so truth is, I don't know if you felt any stimulation, so that's the reason why. All of these are inhalants. All right, so we're going to speed on. We are very low on time.
Oh, we want the multi-select.
It is a multi-selection, so multiple answers could be correct. So all you should have gotten points. What is this the definition of? So yes, it is a drug. There you go. That is true.
Scotty.
Caffeine is a what? It is a stimulant.
That's one, baby. Wrong marble.
If you get this wrong, I don't know what to say.
No.
I don't know what to say about that. All right, great job today. Great job, Chase. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Good job,